Shalom Aleichem, blessed souls, this is Dam Talk, Danzo Sio Goodman, live from Heights, Crown Heights. This 14th of Elul, Yudal Elul, 5,769 years, blazing into full soul revelation into this blessed creation. Again, to remind everyone that this week the community of Israel, we just read this morning, we're in Heights, Crown Heights in the Frankel Shul, over here on President Street, between Utica Avenue and Rochester Avenue. We read from Kee-Tawvoe, which starts on chapter 26, verse Aleph, Posek Aleph, and concludes in this week's Torah portion in chapter 29, verse Ches, the 8th verse, and as well, we'll be reading from the Haftarah from the prophet Isaiah, Novi Yeshayahu, chapter 60, Perek Samech, Posek Aleph, verse 1 until the 22nd verse, Posek Chav Beis. And again, we're trying to extract nuggets from a teaching from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rebbe Menachem Emrish Nielsen, who delivered this teaching on Yud Gimel Elul, the 13th of Elul, 27 years ago, in honor of the anniversary of his father-in-law, the Rebbe Rayatz, the 6th Rebbe of Chabad. Ches, Chochma, Bina, Ches, Chochma, Beis, Bina, and Dalet Dat. That's the beauty, and maybe the lack of beauty making these live videos with little preparation. The soul is that to give anyone a sense who's watching this video what is an experience of learning Torah in a spontaneous fashion, meaning in a live fashion. So I don't really rehearse. I look in a very cursory fashion over these teachings and try to extract nuggets, and hopefully this will inspire you, blessed soul, wherever you are, to try to learn more Torah and to try to do more commandments, mitzvot. With that being said, blessed soul, we talked about in the last session, part 1 of Kee-Tawvoe, the idea of causing your beloved friends to rejoice in the Garden Eden of old. And beloved friends are not just the husband and wife, the Chatan and Kala, bride and groom, but rather also the two entities which are constantly interacting with each other, Chochma, wisdom, and Bina, understanding. With that being said, the question is, what is the point of causing two friends to rejoice, in the allegorical sense, Chochma and Bina, wisdom and understanding, when Bina, understanding, has the quality of joy within it, as alluded to in the verse in Psalms Tehillim, chapter 113, Perek Kuf Yud Gimel, verse 9, Posek Tes, En Habanim Smecha. The mother of her children rejoiced, and those children being the healthy emotions born out of her understanding, or the entity, the creation, the Nikra Bina, understanding. So the whole idea is that although there is an intrinsic joy in gaining greater awareness, blessed souls, understanding in this creation, we want to try to increase it. So how can we increase the joy with an entity called Bina, understanding, on a more human perspective? Cause a man and woman to rejoice on the day of their wedding. Well, we can do that by understanding or getting to become more accustomed to the idea of a mitzvah, a commandment, which from the language of the Zohar, the book of shining, the bike of light, really basically the book of revelations for the nation of Israel and for the whole rest of the world, to those who wish to imbibe of its teachings. I do recommend anyone who wants to learn Zohar should learn it with someone who has some experience learning it, because there's a tradition how to learn it, and to look into the commentaries as well, which you can see all over the internet already. You just have to Google up Zohar, Z-O-H-A-R. As well, I would recommend, blessed souls, as the Lubavitcher Rebbe emphasized many times, publicly and privately, in the letters that he wrote to thousands and thousands of people, to learn Chassidut. That's C-H-A-S-S-I-D-U-S, or C-H-A-S-S-I-D-U-T, Chassidut or Chassidus, and to learn more about these concepts of joy and wisdom and understanding. With that being said, blessed soul, let's look into the whole concept of the Simcha Shel Mitzvah, the rejoicing which is called by doing a mitzvah, doing a commandment. There are 613 commandments commanded to the nation of Israel, and 7 commandments given over to the blessed children of Noah, descendants of Noah, Shem, Japheth, and Ham. So there are 2 general intentions in doing mitzvahs, blessed souls. Number 1, the fact that we realize that there are reasons for the mitzvahs which make them more alluring or enticing sometimes. But there's a higher level, knowing that these commandments were given by the Most High, the Creator, the Ane Sofe, infinite Creator, to the children of man as a means of making viable and tangible connections between created being, we, and the Creator. That being said, that we should understand that with each mitzvah done, we also don't want to go measuring which way of connecting to the Most High is more important than the other. Meaning, if I'm involved in, say, helping someone walk across the street, at that time, that is the thing that I should be doing, because perhaps no one else is able to help that elderly person, whether it be he or she. Or another time, I'm saying, if I'm doing the biblical command of putting on tefillin, which is a mitzvah specifically given to the nation of Israel, which is talked about in Deuteronomy. Okay, that is a specific command. So unless someone is able to help that person cross the street, and I'm in a congregation praying to the Most High, it would behoove me to put on the tefillin and to say the Shema and to do the prayers that I am guided to do as a part of the tradition of being one of the members of Israel. And someone else can help them across the street. But there wasn't one instance, Blessed Soul, related to that the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad of Lubavitch, the Hasidic dynasty, it was before the most elated, elevated prayer on the day of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which is a day we don't eat and drink, and basically we stay away from what we would tangibly perceive to be the pleasures of the world, that he took off his talit gadol, which is like a garment that a man of Israel would wrap around himself to focus his concentration when praying to the Most High, and also publicly declare between the Most High and other people in the congregation that he accepts the 613 mitzvahs as a lifestyle to uphold by and to publicly pronounce into the world. So the Alter Rebbe took off his talis and he left the congregation, which baffled many of the people. He went to a house in the village that the services have been being conducted for Yom Kippur, and proceeded to chop wood, which one is not supposed to do on Yom Kippur because it's like a Shabbaton. He made a soup, cooked it, and actually helped feed a woman who had just given birth. Now, there are many questions which rise about this conduct, not what the Alter Rebbe did, but why someone else from the village was not sensitive enough to the needs of this woman, and that the leader of the congregation had to stop it before the most elated prayer to go and chop the wood and light the fire and make the soup and cook the soup and feed the woman. Well, that's telling us there are sometimes we must go out of our most pristine, ordained levels of holiness to do something which seems to be a mundanity, to cook and prepare and help feed someone. But really in that act there was an instruction. Sometimes we have to come up, so to speak, come down from our own levels of mountains of higher spiritual attainments and to do a simple good for another person. I kind of get very tangential off the point here, blessed souls, but for the point of just trying to share a perspective of Torah with you, hopefully we'll make a third version of this week's parsha of Kee-Tawvoe. May this done with Torah, wishing everyone a beautiful day. Sababa, rejoice. Ahav echad, one love, Gorel echad, one destiny for all of us. And that's what we do when we speak spontaneously on videos like this when we don't prepare. But hopefully we'll be prepared to meet the next level of soul ascension with the coming of Mashiach Tikin, our righteous Messiah, speedily in our days.